everybody, and welcome to the High Performance Garden. This is week 20, and I am actually not here today. I am with my family at a family reunion, but I just wanted to introduce the show and let you know that you got a really good lineup today. We're going to teach you how to test your compost with the corn and the bean seeds. So stay tuned, enjoy, and I'll see you next week. Today we're here to talk with you about the high performance garden characteristic number 1, which is in harmony with nature. In the Abundance Garden course, we teach people how to make their own compost. And sometimes they can make enough to get their garden started, and sometimes they have to buy some compost. So when you buy compost, you're not always sure what you are getting. And each batch of compost, whether you buy it or make it, will be unique unto itself. So if you don't want to spend a lot of time or money having your compost tested for nutrients, you can do a few simple tests at home and get a pretty good idea of how your compost is going to perform. It is important to know if your compost is high or low in nutrients. This information will tell you how much to put in the garden. So the first test is very simple. You just take a bag, and I have my compost back here for my big pile. You just put a couple scoops in the bag, like that. Okay, and then you're just going to seal this bag up, and then you're going to come back 24 hours later, and you're going to pop this bag open, and you're going to smell it. Does it smell like ammonia, or does it smell really earthy? If it smells like ammonia, then you're going to have a compost that's high in nitrogen, and that means it's probably not quite done cooking. If it smells earthy, then your compost is done, and it's going to be pretty mild for your plants. So there's your first test right there, is just to bag it up and smell it the next day. Another test we can do is the green bean tomato test. So we'll do that next. If you are putting compost or worm castings under your garden, you will want to know how thick you can apply it. By doing the green bean tomato test, you can figure this out. This test will not tell you the exact nutrients that are in the compost, but it'll let you know how thick the compost can be for your plants. So green beans are givers. So what that means is they take nitrogen from the air and they put that down through their roots and actually put that in the soil. So they are very, very sensitive to nitrogen in the soil. So if your compost is high in nitrogen, the green beans may not germinate, or they might just die, or the tips of the leaves will be all burned when they come up. Tomatoes, on the other hand, are heavy feeders. They love lots of nitrogen, and they will tell you if the nitrogen is too low, because they will be reactive and they will look hungry, or they can tell you if the nitrogen is too high when we plant them in pure compost. So this is how we do the test. I have 4 pots here. Well, actually I have 8. These 2 pots, this is going to be tomato with soil, just plain soil. And this one's going to be the green beans with just plain soil. Now this is our family secret soil mix. This is a seedling mix. And this is the one that my family's been using for generations. And we actually teach you how to make this in the High Performance Garden video training series in video number 3. So if you go to our website, thelivingfarm.org, you can go to video number 3 and you can get the soil recipe that is used in these pots. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is put some seeds in these. So I have my bag of green beans here. Let's see, that's the tomato one, green bean. And I'm going to put about 6 seeds in here. The purpose of these plants is not to grow them out to put in the garden, but is to test the compost. Okay, and then tomato seeds, where are they? There we are. I have my cucumber seeds. Let's try tomato seeds. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put 4 or 5 seeds in each pot. And later on, if you want to transplant them into something else, you can put them in the garden, but we might make some of these seeds actually pretty sick. But they're going to give us the answers that we need. Okay, so this is just straight seedling mix. Okay, and I need to cover the tomatoes just a little bit. The green beans I poked down in. Okay, this next 2 set of pots is we're I have 1/3 compost in here and 1/3 seedling mix. So I up the compost so we can tell how reactive the plants are going to be to that. So here again I want to put in, I'll put in 6 green bean seeds and 5 or 6 tomato seeds. Okay, green bean seeds I can poke in. Actually, I do need another handful of soil, and tomato seeds will cover lightly. I'm actually going to set these in my tub of water here to start soaking. Okay, the next set we have here is half compost and half seedling mix. So we're really upping the number on the compost. The green beans may be quite reactive in this, and this will be a great test for us. Let's see, 6 more seeds. And 6 more tomato seeds. Soil on top. Okay, into the water we go. You notice all these are labeled. I've been reading the labels because if you don't label them, you're not going to remember what's what. So be sure you get labels. All right, so this next batch is just pure compost, and this will really be the telling tale. So we'll put 6 bean seeds in. And some tomato seeds. A little seedling mix on top. I need to use a seedling mix so that I can get that to come up well. Okay, into the water they go. What we should see from these is the green beans are reactive to compost. So in the pure compost and the half compost, I'm expecting the green beans to either not germinate, to come up and look burnt or funny colored or something like that, to be really stressed. In the straight seedling mix, I expect the green beans to come up and look fine. And in the 1/3 compost, I'm hoping that the green beans look really great. It still could be too hot for them. So the green beans are going to test the low end of the nutrients in your compost. Now the tomato, on the other hand, loves the nitrogen, and so it's going to tell us a different story. In the seedling mix, it'll probably come up just fine, and the seed actually has enough nutrients in it to feed that plant until its first adult leaves come out. So we won't see it start to react until it gets, maybe 4 or 5 weeks in, when it's like looking for some food. At that point, it may turn kind of purple and kind of yellow, and I expect that in the seedling mix. In the 1/3 compost, I expect it to go maybe another couple of weeks before it starts to look hungry. In the half compost, half seedling mix, I expect it to look pretty good until it actually would be big enough to transplant out. And then in the pure compost, we're testing that in to see if the compost is just way too high in nitrogen and nutrients, even for a tomato plant. If it is, then we know that we shouldn't be planting in straight compost. So I will take care of these for the next, how many ever weeks it takes for this experiment to come to fruition. And every week we'll stop and visit these pots, and you guys can see the progress of how the plants are reacting to the compost. Okay, we are 2 weeks into this experiment of testing our compost, and I just wanted to give you guys an update of what's going on. So this first row in front of me, these are the tomatoes. This is the straight potting soil, and they are up. This is the 1/3 compost, and I got one up and one just peeking up. This one here is half compost, half potting soil, and there's one little guy coming up in the corner here. And the germination rate has to do with how deep I planted the seed. It doesn't have to do with the strength of the compost, so we're still okay there. And this is the one with the straight compost, and it's not up yet, but I expect it to be up in a few days. Okay, and then the row behind, these are the beans. The ones with the, this is the straight soil. You can see these beans are very happy. They're going crazy. This is 1/3 compost and 2/3 soil. Also doing quite well, and this is a very key indicator of when I put in my garden, how much of my compost can I put in without hurting the beans. They're looking really good. This one is half compost and half potting soil, and the beans are looking really good. We are getting a few roots out the bottom. So this is telling me that my compost is mild, and when I did the sniff test the next day, it didn't have that strong ammonia smell. It did smell earthy. So these are the kind of results that I would expect from an earthy finished compost. This is the one that's straight compost, and sometimes the compost will inhibit the bean seeds from coming up. You can tell that they are struggling a little bit. So we'll just wait and see if we get any burning tips and stuff on that. So we'll let this experiment keep going for another couple weeks, and we'll just keep updating you as to what's happening here. Okay, so we have tested our plants and our compost. Remember, we were testing the different strengths of the compost. So let's look at the tomatoes. This is the tomatoes in the straight potting soil. And this is pretty much what I expected. They have come up because there's enough fertilizer actually in the seed to feed the plant. I am noticing just a little bit of purple coloration on the back side here because these are about 3 weeks old and they're running out of their own fertilizer that came in the seed, and this is the straight potting soil that has no nutrients in it. So for this one, I would expect these tomatoes just to turn more and more purple and then a little bit yellow and not grow so well. Okay, so then the next one, this one has 1/3 compost, and I'm noticing that the back sides of these leaves, let's see if I can turn one over, we're still green, we're still looking really good. I would expect this pot to hold on for a couple more weeks longer than the one that had no fertilizer in it before we would have to refeed these. I typically will recompost my tomatoes every 30 days. So the other thing that this is telling me is that this compost was not too strong at this level and that we were fine planting the heavy feeders in it. This one is the half compost, half soil. There again, we're still green on the back sides of the leaves. The plants are a little small. That's probably due to the depth that I planted the seed. I don't think it has anything to do with the compost. So it's looking just fine. And the last one, this was the straight compost. I did put a little soil just on top of the seeds. And the tomatoes are looking really good. The color is really good. These will thrive in this heavy compost because they're a heavy feeder. But the other thing that this is telling me about my compost is it's not too hot. So if it was too hot, even the heavy feeders would burn out at this point, and they would be pretty bad. They would be stunted. They could be yellow. Too much nitrogen and too little nitrogen both make the plants kind of on the yellow side. But we know that this is really heavy in the nutrients. So if it was turning yellow, it would be too much. Oh, look, a green bean seed that I dropped. Okay. All right, so then let's take a look at the green beans, because this is the other end of the spectrum. This is the light feeders that make their own nitrogen in the air, from the air down into the roots, so they feed themselves. So what I'm looking at is how strong the compost is for them. So the first one, this is the straight soil. This is what I expect. They should grow and look great all on their own. They're feeding themselves pretty much. I even got roots coming out the bottom of the pot. This is 1/3 compost and 2/3 soil. They look even better than the straight ones. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but they're a little deeper green color, which I think indicates a little stronger plant. I'm actually starting to see just a little purple coloration on the back sides of these. So these ones, they might start to get a little hungry here. So if I were to use my compost in my garden bed, then I know I could go 1/3 of my compost to the rest potting soil, and I would be fine with the light feeders and the heavy feeders. This next one is half compost and half potting soil, and it's a little bit more on the yellow side. It's a little bit shorter plant. I would say that the green beans are handling that amount of compost really well, so that's telling me that my compost is a very finished product. It's a very good product. If at this point you start to see them being really yellow and stuff, then you know that half compost is too strong a compost for the garden bed. So you want to be sure that you're testing to see if the plants can handle it before you plant. This one's a pretty good indicator. This is the pure compost, and as you can see, this guy, he's stunted, he's yellow, he doesn't look anything like the other plants. The other seeds have tried to come up. This one here rotted off. This one didn't make it out of the soil. This one is struggling. So if I were to plant green beans in my compost, pure compost, I wouldn't have a very good crop, whereas I can get away with the heavy feeders, the tomatoes, in that. So this test is a great test just if you're buying compost and you're trying to figure out how strong you can put it in the garden. This is how you test it. You just put together the tomatoes and the beans and grow them on for this. We're about 3 weeks in, and you can see what they can do. If you're buying compost or making your own compost, this is a great simple test that you can do at home. You don't have to send your compost off to have it tested or have any special equipment to do it. So it's just a great way to know kind of what the nutrient content is and how the plants are going to react to the compost that you have. Okay, for week 20 harvest, I had my friend that was babysitting the garden. She got to harvest it this last week, and what she got was 0.91 pounds of kale, so almost a pound of kale, 0.36 pounds of Swiss chard, the broccoli 0.71 pounds, the shigaku she got 0.35 pounds. I hope she really enjoyed that one. The zucchini 6.62 pounds, the lettuce 2.88 pounds. That was rocking it. The cucumbers 5.33 pounds, and the tomatoes she got 1.75 pounds. So the value of that garden was $79.29. That was all given to the gal that babysat the garden, so she got some good values, some good grocery savings. And the year-to-date total was $1,535.31. So the garden gives us more than just great vegetables. And the 20th gift that my garden gives me is wealth. Not only does a garden provide food savings, I receive a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of good health from this garden.